Well, let's see. Great. So
Sorry.
do we have to do it again?
No.
No?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. So let's pull up the agenda. All right, so we'll call to order the meeting. We've already identified ourselves for the owl. And can't read. Planning, no.
Marketing deliverables.
Okay, have you did you talk to Robin? Okay,
I did. She sent me just kind of a brief overview. She was like, I'm in Costa Rica. I said, ooh, well, thank you for responding to my email. Where did it go? So her kind of main topics that she's working on are to continue to update the website as we get information such as the new 3D renderings that Elliot sent out earlier this week. Weekly posts in social media, monthly newsletters. Her big thing with SDA is the home buyer's guide. Kind of a deed restriction op-ed, and then updating the spec sheet with new floor plans. It's kind of her main topics.
okay, some of those have already been done, right?
They're just, I think it's just updating.
Oh, it's just getting them to Blair and having it go live.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct. I would say the biggest thing on her list is probably the home buying guide.
Yeah, the spec sheets on that, so we're still waiting on the submittals to be approved for electrical, plumbing, to put all that together as a packet. So, that's, I think we're still at least maybe a month out from that.
okay. What's taking so long on the plumbing other than Ken has to?
Ken, he wants to review a physical toilet before he signs off on.
Right, but that's been going on for over a month now.
Yep, it has. And,
Okay.
and then, he
Tell
also,
him to get off the,
yeah, there's also, we're having discussions about the shower inserts. Kind of the same thing.
we don't want to have the duplicate the
Yes.
issues there.
And I think we got that sorted.
I think, yeah, I was gonna say, we had a productive call yesterday, the partnership call, where we're basically looking at revisiting that with something that actually has like a glass door enclosure.
Uh-huh,
So that's gonna be on the OAC call this afternoon. And those are kind of the two big things from the plumbing submittal that we're waiting on resolution to. The electrical package, I think, is for the most part in a good spot, from what I understand. So it's really just, getting all that in a package that Tim can then take and put together for us with, like paint colors, appliances, carpet samples, countertop samples, essentially a complete kind of package of like what the finishes are in the units.
So they have all those other items picked out, like the paint colors and the appliances and everything
Mhm.
else? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my understanding.
what do we think Robin's departure date, as far as, I know it's when you hire. I mean, can you give us a rough estimate month?
Yeah, probably. So we're midway through February. I would expect her to be on through probably April.
Okay, that's good.
The idea being that she would be doing some onboarding of the new person,
Okay,
and kind of transferring all of her work projects and knowledge.
okay,
I mean, not that you can fully download Robin's brain,
no,
because there's a lot there. But the idea is that, we may not have somebody on board and, working until maybe sometime in March. And so
okay,
it would be probably into April that she would be with us.
all right, so it's not imminent.
No,
We have some time, and we have plenty of time to, based on if the plumbing and electrical are probably a month away, maybe the plumbing is further away than. the
I,
electrical?
I think the plumbing, well, I know the toilet thing is close. This shower insert just came up yesterday.
Okay,
So I don't know like what the timing is to find a new like insert, recirculate that amongst the group, get buy-in, get it signed off on approved,
okay, good.
but I would think at least a couple weeks, maybe by the first part of March.
Okay.
We can have all that kind of in a better spot.
All right.
And then just so you're aware, Kathy, Robin and Araceli worked to kind of put this marketing communications plan together. So this lines out week by week what should be hitting social media, different items to be addressed, all the way through May. I mean, we have weeks up until the first week of May and then months. So she has it pretty lined out. So when the person comes in, it'll just kind of be understanding what she's already lined it out with. And then RSL is kind of helping run with it now.
Okay.
Lala, question.
Oh, hi. Yes.
I was wondering if I was going to scare anyone. Has this, so the last real estate team meeting I think I was on, and we had looked at this, and I kind of given some feedback to expand this to be a mixture of like, I was calling it art and science, like where this is kind of the science, but the selling of the units and the features of the units is more of the art. Has that been incorporated into it? Like even just talking of like, we don't need to talk about the toilet that's going to be put in each unit, but we do need to talk about the location benefits and walkability and the, community space and things like that. Has that been factored into this social media strategy?
I don't know if it's been factored into this social media strategy. I do have all the updated plans, so I've been working on kind of that master document that says building 1, A101, north facing, located close, like kind of like that, but not, I wouldn't say it's finessed. It's more just kind of the generality of where all the units are so that we can start attaching parking spots to then I think create the art around those packages, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I totally hear you, and I think that the reference to those details is very important, but like none of this stuff matters if we don't sell the units, if we don't create interest for I want to live here, so I think we should, like, I guess my advice would be don't overthink it. It could literally be like, hey, how cool is it that you can walk to Safeway? Like, and that is a super simple, just like drip in post that goes in between educating a buyer, educating the audience about when the lottery is going to start or what the pre-qualification process is. So I feel very strongly that the details of the property are just as important as the how you get one.
Yeah, Michael Ann, good to hear from you, and
Hi, yes.
and welcome back, maybe tentatively.
The newsletter.
Those pictures.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention this, and Lala's pulling it up. While you were out, you may or may not have seen this, is that we started doing some
Communication.
yeah, communications that was
In the
probably
communications
more in
folder.
the realm
With the
of
folder.
like
Images.
marketing of like how close the property is to, all of these various
Real estate images.
assets.
Mhm. Yeah, no,
Um,
I've seen everything that's come through, and I think it's all really great. I think my
What is-
only
what you're saying?
suggestion is take some of those tidbits from the e-blast and drop it into a social post in between talking about AMIs and the timeline for pre-qualification. Like this could be a social media post. Like it's just as simple as that.
Yes,
Got it.
we do have so social media posts scheduled around this. We just launched we did put out some social media posts with these pictures and our animated logo.
And I think the actual renderings of each unit is probably another great social media.
Yeah.
Tool. Or like content.
Yeah, it just like again, don't like just keep it. It's so much more straightforward than like needing to be like, fully baked. It's just the things that we know we can easily add fluff to. I was just on the chamber board meeting. That's why I was late. And Helica did a really awesome, like she was giving her commissioner's update, and she dropped in some information about the housing authorities, the needs assessment survey and some of the Cottonwoods stuff. And there was a lot of questions about like people still, don't know how many units or what the appreciation cap is. And I know we haven't really started like tripling that stuff out around the deed restriction implementation plan yet, but there were a lot of questions in that forum. So this is good to start a plan for pumping that info out.
Okay.
Right. Maybe you could give us, since we're talking marketing, a quick update as of this morning. Our interested party list and what you're seeing as far as the breakdown, or what your gut is as far as who's responding and how that matches up.
Yeah, so yesterday I updated everything for the board presentation today. So we've got 141 applicants or prospective buyers. And we're still seeing most people that are filling this form out are hitting that 120% less. We're not seeing the spike up to that 140%. So we've sent it out through 6 different avenues thus far. The chamber minutes, it's gone out twice through them. Winter Sports Club staff. Celine sent it out to the teachers. It went out in the Routt County newsletter. I feel like there's
Ski Corp.
and Ski Corps. So the ones that it has not gone out to, but I've touched base with, I talked with UC Health. Lindsay's just about ready to put something together and send it. She just hasn't, so we're missing the hospital.
Which are high-end earners.
Correct. So we're just trying to think through who else we're missing
The city.
from those. So part of it was city staff and the city newsletter. I don't know that it's hit Routt County staff, just they're kind of out, so try and hit that. I'd like to outreach even further, maybe the Hayden School District, people that want to move back into Steamboat that got pushed out, just to see. I think a 2-person household could hit some of those higher ones. I don't know if there's an actual like restaurant association
There
that they could help push that all
There
out.
is Yeah.
It's through, they're part of the.
Nick.
Okay.
Yeah, Nick
Nick Sharp.
Sharp. Nick Sharp is the head of the Restaurant Association. This came up and I had coffee with Leah yesterday, and we were talking about the interest list numbers and the AMI kind of trends that are emerging. And I think that this tracks. Like I know that Allison posted it on Field. Is it called Field Day? Kathy, I'm a little out of
Field
loop
Guide.
on Field Guide,
Field Guide.
on ski area stuff, but basically she it's like, it was one post on this app that 2,000 people use. So I'm not confident that really like drilled it home. But
Yeah.
basically our takeaway was like the predominant audience that has received this communication the most is the housing authority followers, the people who are reading our newsletter. The people who are reading the chamber's newsletter are mostly the employers, and it's up to the employer to forward that on to their employees to then take. Most chamber members' employees are not receiving those chamber communications. And so I think that we will see, and I think this is important to point out at the board so that Catherine doesn't say, see, I told you so. I think it's important to remember that our audience will broaden once we start kind of going to more of those traditional real estate routes, like reaching the realtors who have ready buyers, who are the ones that are competing for, the properties that are coming on in that range right now.
Yeah, the other person, and I the one that I forgot is OPG pushed it out through all their tenant newsletters. And a lot of those names I recognize when I see the list, so that's also gonna skew that down from our low income properties verse. But I also see some duplicates, which is great, which means people have gotten it in multiple ways. But yeah, we've definitely, I don't wanna say we've missed the mark on the higher incomes.
No.
I just don't think
We
We
Until
haven't
we have
reached
some-
them yet.
tangible.
We haven't set
They're not
prices,
gonna-
we haven't done an
Mhm.
aggressive marketing. This is just a soft
Yeah.
launch. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
not,
don't think that we've done anything. Yeah, we're not like missing a mark or anything. We're just kind of, we put it out there lightly and we're seeing what's emerging right now. But yeah, I guess I say this, just making sure that we set expectations very clearly with the board, especially the board members who feel so strongly that we're priced too high, that we haven't really
We haven't-
scratched the surface with the higher AMIs yet, and that's important to note.
Do you think that they're like, if we get Paoli and his team onboarded as well, like that also kind of opens up some of those 140s potentially with
With his client list,
maybe
yes.
client list?
Absolutely, his client list and every other realtor's client list for sure.
Yeah,
And
I mean, there was an email that went out to everyone at Sotheby's. They had saw the article in the paper about encouraging buyers to kind of start their pre-qualification journey. And it was one of the older brokers, so I wasn't surprised that he had these questions. But you know, he's just like, how do we go about explaining this to our clients and things like that? And I offered to reach out and explain it to him. But yeah, I think that people just, it's more of a lack of like knowing versus the people not existing.
And I know Robin's out this week, but when she gets back, Michael-Ann, and we definitely want to bring you in on this, is to do a realtor briefing. We've already are getting interest of people like, what's my role in this? Like, if I bring a buyer, how do I represent my buyer? Can you educate me on the deed restriction? So we want to kind of set that, I think, straight from the get-go, that you don't have a relationship to this transaction per se. And
So I
potentially-
will start that off with, don't shoot the messenger.
Well, we can be the messenger so you don't get shot.
Yeah, but the way that we phrase it and the way that
Yeah,
kind of thing
absolutely.
goes, like, we want you to put that hat on, and like, how would you receive that? Like, are we upsetting you, or is it clear? How does it work? We've had a lot of conversations with Eagle County around that, and she's like,
Yeah.
at first for Miller Ranch, they definitely had a few of the older, more tenured realtors in town that were upset by it. But she's like, once we started the program, she's like, we haven't had anyone since 2006 like complain or be upset because they don't get a referral fee or any of those components. But I think we're definitely going to hit a little bit. We're going to ruffle some feathers at first.
There will definitely be some squeaky wheels, but I think that's important. The important way to circumnavigate that is just to be clear from the very beginning, so that the expectation is set. And so yeah, we can chat about that when Robin's back.
Yep. And then we did do our news brief, or our deed restriction briefing with the media outlets, although only Dylan showed up. And that was, I would say, pretty successful too, just to set them up to understand the information that's going to be kind of like as we go along this process.
right, anything else on marketing? Let's move to the construction update.
can I share my screen?
Yeah, I think it's set up so multiple.
Oh, perfect. All right, so here is the latest construction schedule as of last night from Houseman. Basically, line 116 here is tracking building 2. It has that being delivered on Friday, January 16th of 2026. Down here on line 490 is building 1, and it's tracking to be delivered here on Tuesday, January 27th of 2026. We had a partnership call yesterday with Ken and the Lone Tree team. I think internally this came up also Monday at our development team meeting with just some concerns about scope creep and schedule creep and some things like that. So one of the gentlemen that was on our call yesterday, the partnership call is I guess an investor, someone that kind of backs Ken and his team, who essentially has housemen working on like 4 or 5 different projects that he's an investor on in Summit County and in other parts of the state in Nebraska. And so he indicated that he's going to reach out to kind of the top brass at Houseman and kind of light a fire under them about getting things moving forward and starting to see some more activity out there on the site. And so, you know, we're hopeful that kind of leads to seeing more activity. We just the other thing, I don't have a printout of it here, or I don't have anything to share. I just have a printout. But right now, the schedule from the previous week showed wall panels going up next week, and that's a 5-week kind of installation for building 2. And so I think, you know, they've had the cranes up for a couple weeks. They have, as I understand it, about half of the framing material and panels for building 2 on site currently, stored kind of in the back corner there between buildings 3 and 4. So they do have material on site and are working through you know, I guess some logistics on getting started going with the framing. This other piece here that I'm sharing is a visual schedule that they sent out last week that kind of shows some of the progress that's occurring with both buildings 1 and 2. So this is a foundation plan for building 2. They're currently backfilling this whole area in magenta that's on the screen right now. So basically bringing in fill material to bring the subsurface of the parking deck, parking garage up to grade. This has been going on. When I was on site last week, I'd say they were probably about halfway through this garage area in building 2, just putting in material, essentially compacting it, you know, getting it ready for a concrete pour. The other things that are occurring here on building 2 are they have all the floor joists laid on the first floor. This is a elevation kind of drawing of that. But the first floor, they have all the joists in. They have all the electrical and plumbing rough in occurring on building 2. That is, when I was out there last week, that was pretty much 100% complete. They have that whole area tarped off. They were also doing coring through the slab to tie in all those plumbing drains and waistline and the various drains that are picking up sinks and toilets and tubs and stuff from up above. They have two levels of the CMU up on site. That's kind of where the scaffolding is and some of the visqueen or plastic is now. They've essentially gone up to the second level with both buildings and the CMU. And the plan is to they're going to stop there and then bring up the framing to that level, re-erect the scaffolding, and then complete the other 2 floors of the elevator core, CMU core for the elevators for buildings 1 and 2. So that'll be occurring as we start getting some framing swung around on the site and installed. And then, And then, this is what I was just mentioning with the floor joist and all the plumbing rough in for, buildings 1 and 2. They were probably about halfway through building 1 last week when I was on site. And I think kind of, we'll check in on this tomorrow at the OAC, but I would imagine they're pretty much mostly complete with all the plumbing and electrical rough in for buildings 1. And working just to kind of tarp that off and getting ready for, putting up all the framing. So those are, kind of the updates as it stands right now. Here's just another look at, building 1, just noting that the floor joists are all set. This says that the plumbing rough in is complete from grids 1 through 5. So grid line 1 here and, grid line 5 is here. So that's essentially about what, a third of the building that's completed in. So that's, some of the milestones. In addition to that, they have also completed, some of the fire caulking penetrations on the slab, coring the slab. And, they are also working to do some insulation on that first floor, floor joist area to get that completed before they start installing all the other floor panels. The other update on this is that we have received a proposal from Third Eye. They're the folks that we hired for the anglers and Alpenglow to come back and inspect the work there. And, we brought this up yesterday at our, partnership meeting with, Lone Tree, and, we got a buy-in from them on getting, Third Eye engaged as part of the team and kind of integrated as part of the team to keep an eye on housemen and construction and kind of making sure, because we kind of felt like that role was with Ken and Tim, and we've noticed just some kind of deficiencies with that, I will say. So they've agreed. The proposal from Third Eye is $88,000, and it's 725 hours in total over 11 months. So they'll be on site 3-4 days a week, attending OAC calls. In addition to that, they're going to be doing all the quality assurance, kind of quality QA/QC checks for us, reviewing submittals, RFIs, making sure kind of things there are above board, any other kind of non-conforming work. And then they're also going to assist us with punch lists, closeout, and warranty kind of documentation. So this proposal is going to be executed by the partnership, and will just be incorporated in as part of the overall construction cost of the building. And there was, I think, pretty much mutual agreement on that at our meeting yesterday with Ken and those guys. So we think that's a positive benefit to this project. And I think with the other conversations that are happening with housemen and stuff, hopefully we start seeing more progress and get caught up on our schedule here, and start seeing, essentially more stuff happening on the site in the next few weeks. So those are some construction updates.
Has there been any discussion or concern about delays or project, delays in material receipt, given tariffs, proposed tariffs, or
No.
increased cost?
No, I think the good news is like basically the project is essentially bought out at this point.
A majority of it is, yeah.
Okay.
And so all the material's been pre-purchased.
Okay,
And so I think your concern is legitimate for future phases of Mid Valley and for future projects, but on this one, I think we're relatively insulated from that because of the fact that, we have a GMP contract.
right, but the
Uh,
materials are probably not sitting in their warehouse. They're at some warehouse somewhere.
Yeah,
A lot of them are sitting on site right now.
Okay,
Yeah, there's some of them, I mean, you know, as I mentioned, there's like half of the framing for building 2 is on site, the other half is at the factory.
okay,
That they're producing all that framing at, which is in Denver. And so, you know, it is, that there is stuff on site, there's like plumbing parts, there's, you know, electrical parts, electrical gear, there's also, you know, like CMU for the elevator cores, there's mortar, some things
Well-
like that that are on site already, so. And that's the area that you see where they have all the concrete blankets and they're heating that like ground floor.
Right. Okay.
Is where they're storing all that, so it's in a more or less like a tempered, heated environment.
all right.
Um,
Michael Ann, do you have any questions on construction update?
I do not. This is good.
All right. Anything else?
no, I just think, you know, given the conversation yesterday, I'm kind of hopeful that we'll start seeing more progress on construction and I think things will change as you start seeing the panels going up and the building going vertical. The whole purpose of doing this panelized construction was to kind of make up time on the schedule. So I'm hopeful that that'll be the case. It's just a better product. It's built in a factory. So the tolerances are a lot better. I think it's gonna help the other trades downstream of them. Or like drywall and rough-in and finishes and things like that. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that and let everybody know if there's hiccups or issues with it. But I think it sounds like we have people's attention now and we're gonna start seeing some more progress.
Yeah, I mean, best case scenario, we could keep that January delivery timeline
Mhm.
in that, because obviously that's so material to our timeline here.
Right,
Mhm.
So,
And I think as we talked about at development on Monday too, I mean, there is a cost implication with what we're paying in construction interest.
Mhm.
And, you know, the longer this project takes, you know, I think rough math, we figured on Monday was about $25,000 a week in interest we're paying for every week we don't hit the schedule. So I brought that point up at the partnership meeting yesterday too, and I think that also got some people's attention. Because there's a monetary effect as well on this, so,
okay,
all right.
all right, next item.
Lottery timeline.
Well, is everybody comfortable with what we're taking to the board today? As far as lottery,
do you wanna spend some time going over
You want-
that?
not unless, you're gonna present it,
Lala's gonna present,
Okay.
we actually have a PowerPoint,
okay,
that is essentially a recapture of what's actually already in the packet,
Mhm.
but just sort of broken out in more spoonful sizes to help walk the board through that. So it's, the content is just the same as you've seen in the packet, just broken into bite-sized chunks, and the purpose there is to help walk them along to the point where we need to make a decision on locking in the
priority
preferences.
preferences.
Yeah, it's kind of, if you will, it's the soft launch in 2 months when we need to approve the lottery implementation plan. So
Okay.
kind of showing them the how. Tee that up. So when they actually get the whole document, if they're comfortable with the process we go through today, putting words to that and finalizing the policies around how we actually do it.
And I think the substantive conversation that we need to have today is surrounding the timeline of this. Primarily because, and this isn't something that we've queued out for the board to discuss, because it's something we wanted to talk about here, is, you know, the timeline for running the lotteries. The downstream impact of that is essentially the closing schedule. And so we wanted to kind of show how that all kind of ties together and have that conversation here before we bring that particular execution timeline to the board.
All right, let's look at it.
So this is the first stab at it, and I've already found a couple little things that we'll talk through today just from how it flows. But the way I have it generally structured is the general open the lottery for qualified applicants, remove duplicate entries, and then we actually open it up per AMI per unit to run the lottery kind of the way that we've generally structured it. These are the people that I've listed who would be involved in it. So at first we'd run the 100%, 2-bedroom, 3 bedrooms. Given there's only 8 units, I have grouped this lottery for like the same day. And then on here, there's probably a couple things I'm missing, but I put based in our current policy, we've got after the lottery's run, your selection form is due 3 days later. Then we set that selection form, which basically is saying, hey, Chris, Joe
You have
Smith
unit-
is unit A101 for $444,000 or whatever that looks like. Within that time frame, they would then go under contract. We have it set that earnest money would go hard 5 days within that time frame, so that's included in here. And then just from the general standard 45 to 60 days closing period,
Process and closing, yeah.
that's set in here also. As you can see, so we'll start, and then I've done the same thing for all of the other lotteries. Now, given the amount of lotteries that each or amount of units set at certain AMIs, I've tried to give some of that spacing. So for the 120s, there was only 2 1-bedrooms. I felt like we could combine that with, or the 1-bedrooms with the 2 bedrooms for 12 units. And then I spaced it an additional week before we ran the 3 bedrooms. And Mike Land, you may be able to help with this, because in my brain, 18 units going under contract within the same kind of 10-day frame seemed like a lot. So as you we can scroll out here and see, these are the dates. So here's your 100% AMIs.
What's the starting date? I can't see. Start of the purple.
The start of the purple. So I opened the lotteries on November 10th. Just given our current construction timeline.
2 months before.
Yeah, like a month and a half before. If it's the end of January, again, these can shift because we have our first closings happening January 29th through February 13th.
So with like for the first lotteries that are run, I was trying to follow this, but if you could just restate it, please. For the first lotteries that are run, if it starts on November 10th, is that right?
So that's when it would be open for the applicants to enter the lottery.
Okay, my question is like, is everything going to be wrapped up before Thanksgiving in terms of lottery is conducted, winners are notified, and selection forms are due prior to Thanksgiving holiday?
No, because we haven't generated, we're not running the lottery until starting in December.
Okay. But the essence of my question was just like, let's just make sure that we're like not like
Holidays.
the holidays would severely complicate this, you know? So that's really where I was going with that. And I'm on my phone, so I can't really see your spreadsheet super well. So, but that's really my only feedback so far. Is just make sure we avoid the holidays, because I just don't think that's super fair. But at the same time, like, we need to get the sales going, right? And then my other question was, so from the start of the lottery drawing to the closing period, to the closing date, how many days is that, give or take?
December 9th through January 29th would be the start and the start. So 2 months.
Start and the start, you mean the start of the lottery drawing and the closing of the unit?
Yeah, so we would generate the lottery on December 9th, and then the first unit potentially, if it's at that 45-day mark from when they go under contract, would be January 29th. So that's
45 days.
the calculator here. So 51 days on
51 days from
the front
Lottery-
end, plus the
lottery,
additional.
lottery winner is drawn, notified, and things get moving with their contracts to closing and keys are turned over.
Correct.
Okay. I think that, so like to your other question of like, is 18, if we were on, I think you were saying the 100 and the 120%
Mhm.
lotteries together, is that like, is 18 units going under contract in the 10-day period, like sustainable?
Yeah, so
Like, that's where I think it could get a little bit compounded and if the whole process is 50 days and you've got all this lending stuff going on, it just doesn't provide like a ton of room for things to take longer than they might necessarily.
yep. And part of
Um,
me thought if we could just do the 100% in 2024, that's eight units for like the trial, right? To see how this operates.
Yeah,
And when I was
yeah.
first
I like
looking at
that.
this,
I like,
I had this open lottery for qualified applicants, but then I was telling Jason, I started looking and I was like, well, we can't have everybody enter in that November timeframe because we're not even running a lottery for the 140% units until end of January, potentially, or February. So they can't sit knowing that they're selected for a unit, but then nothing else is happening for 8 weeks.
yeah.
So I need to
I
build in.
think that's good I think that's good to not conduct the drawing until you're ready to move them forward.
And then I also noticed that with the way that I had it structured, it didn't allow for someone at the 100% AMI, if they didn't get selected,
To move
to
up.
To
potentially
enter into the
the-
other, yeah.
So that is missing from here, and I've identified that. But ideally, the thought would be, just from the general, we generate the lottery on one day. In our policy, it states the housing authority has 48 hours to notify the winners. Then we give them the unit selection form, which they then have 3 days to return to us. Once they turn that in, I think it's best to simplify that process. Initially, we were gonna say number 1 gets 3 days to select before we open it to number 2. I think we send all winners their list and they get three preferences to say, I want 101, I want 206, or I want 303. And then you just keep it in that priority and you kind of go down that list to then be able to award them all the same date. And that way it's not prolonging the period out longer.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
stacking
Yeah,
three.
It's not one at a time.
correct. It's not one at a
Mhm.
time. And then
Yeah.
as you get down, if there's issues, you just go back to that person and say, I'm sorry, all 3 of your selected units are not available.
Can you go to the fourth?
Yep.
Come up with a.
These
fourth,
are these are the ones that are
Yeah.
available now.
Yeah.
What would you like? So then
I think that makes a lot of sense, doing it like
so
that.
then we would finalize that and then they would go under contract. Money goes hard and then however many days until the closing. And then I was trying to be thoughtful about when we started the next lottery so that it wasn't everyone was closing and going under contract in the same week again. Kind of try and play in some, I don't know, leapfrog or space it out a little bit. So you're kind of constantly going through that, but I don't know if that I mean, I guess in my thought, the way that Paoli presented, it would be easier on the brokers in that capacity because it sounds like, I think her name was Joey, their transaction broker would be managing more in between that initial sit down with the realtor contracting period, kind of pass off to the.
Yeah, there's like a slew of like,
Back
there's
to
like
the
a slew of like front end paperwork that would
Mhm.
have to be managed. And then then there's sort of a like, once that front end paperwork gets done, then it's like them coordinating with the lender, and there's a little break. I like what you said a second ago about like making the goal to be to get 8 units under contract in 2024. I think is that what you said?
Yeah, to do the 100% AMIs, and we could almost, if we wanted to, without names, because it is a lesser amount, we could do it more as RSLE calls it, a ceremonious event. To say, you know, this is the housing authority's first lottery for the Cottonwoods. We're opening, we're starting to go under contract, like really kind of hype around it, and then have the other ones just kind of be
Yeah, but-
the machine.
One of the things that we talked about, and this is probably worth discussing as it relates to some of the board conversation later today, is, you know, we have the 2 bedrooms, just as an example, in the orange bracket, or the orange color there. You have the 2 bedrooms happening before the 3 bedrooms, and we may want to flip those so that people know who's got the 3 bedrooms, because they're the quote unquote more coveted units. So that then those people can,
So if a family needs to decide to potentially downsize.
exactly, like, because I guess the point is you would want them to say, I know I did or did not get a 3 bedroom before they choose to take a 2 bedroom.
So here's the other component then we add, that would add to this timeline, is we have running the 100% AMI lotteries on the same day because of the smaller amount of units. So that would then
Oh, okay, so
space that. So
I guess it wouldn't matter because it's all being run on the same day, and you would know.
I think you could ask them, if you aren't selected for the 3 bedroom, do you want us to enter you in the 2 bedroom? And they sign something saying yes. So the minute we generate the 3 bedroom condos, that list populates. If they're 15 down or not in the top components,
Yeah.
you add them to the other.
Yeah,
The only-
I think they're gonna have to, I think before they get into it, they're gonna have to select whatever lotteries they want to be in,
Yep.
right? And so like, if we're, say, in one tranche running the 100% AMIs, and there's the 2 and 3 bedroom, you will likely see multiple households entering both lotteries.
Mhm.
And then we run it, and you may have a scenario, and this would be the really difficult thing,
As if you won the 2 and the 3.
if you were in the 2 and 3, and so those people would have choices. That would be like the best case scenario for a family, right?
Yeah. Which I think is fine. I mean, that's
Yeah.
part of a lottery, right?
Yeah, it's a random result,
Mhm.
so. Okay,
Um,
I think we're good considering that we're running them all, but I think if you go down to the next tranche, you actually have the 3 bedrooms happening like a week later.
Yes.
So we may want to flip that.
Okay.
I think when we're looking at those are the 120s, right?
Yes. The other thing I noticed on this is that this whole process is like 17 weeks, which seems
A long time.
a short time.
Oh,
I
a short
thought.
time?
Cause
Yeah.
once you hit like the 140s and you have 24 2-bedroom units,
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna take the same amount of time as the 8 units for like the 100%. I think that's gonna be a longer closing, a longer under contract, a longer for them to potentially manage, plus a title company scheduling. I don't know, just Kim Bell Williams initially thought 4 going under contract and 4 closings a week was a pretty good lift. And I have these, I guess, scheduled at
Double that.
24 going within a 2-week span. So I'm not sure.
Like 6
Yeah,
times
so I'm
that.
not sure what the thought on that is, and maybe Michael, and you have some insight that seems a bit realistic or unrealistic, and I should tease out. This just doesn't
I mean, I think versus, I guess, like where my mind is going is, less like, do I think that's appropriate? It's more like, what do the systems that we have in place, what can they handle and still deliver a good experience, is like more so like the way we should think about it. And also, sorry.
I just said, I agreed.
And then like, what are the levers that we have to pull if it does, if we go forward with, we're going to do this many in this many weeks, like how can we pull back without diminishing that experience, like, so how do we balance like speed and efficiency, and maybe starting like the thought process from from that place versus, and I think that's probably a conversation with Chris.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't think that there's some like, I think there's like, okay, we know we can do more than, we know we can handle more than 2 closings a week, but so we want to, go for more than that. I think 4 is probably a safe number, but I think we should just make sure we have some processes in place if we need to pull back, that it's not like we don't have to communicate out that like we like took on too many at a time,
Yeah, and I think when I was talking to Kim, she was very honest that they have like 1 full-time broker on this, opposed to Chris proposed 3 or 4. So that in
Mhm.
itself is gonna amplify and like help with the efficiency and the speed part.
Yeah, but 3 or 4 plus the other business that they're managing,
Yeah.
like they're also managing. I mean, like, I don't know, I think last
Over,
week, Lee Callahan
Leah
listed
just
like 3 properties.
got 3
So,
week.
so yeah, it's just like making sure, and then Joey is really good, but she's got 50 units under contract across Chris's office and the other offices that she works for at a time. So I think it's a more of a question for, and the lender also is going to like set the closing cadence as well, because like there's going to be all this documentation that has to get delivered to the lender throughout the contract process, and the speed in which the buyer gets that to the lender is going to dictate like when the lender has the clear to close. And so like we should absolutely have a closing date like tentatively penciled in, but it's when the lender gets the clear to close, and then there's like a 3-day, I don't know, there's some acronym for it, like consumer protection, that they have to have 3 days to review their final 3 business days to review their final closing costs. And that's like set by the Consumer Protection Bureau or something like that. So anyway, there's a mandatory 3-day period between when they get the final closing documents. Yep.
Yeah.
And so like it's a little bit more flexible than that. So maybe that's some of the levers, but just for context.
I mean, I didn't get 3 days to
Yeah,
review
I was
those
gonna
things
say that's-
before I closed. They gave it to me the day like before, so.
Oh, well,
I think
You-
I think the
you could dispute that if you wanted.
No, I'm okay, but just,
Yeah.
yeah, they're a little loosey-goosey with that.
the more I look at this timeline and such too, one of the difficult things, or that I'm kind of struggling with how to manage and maintain, is the excitement around it, right? Like, we're gonna be open and we're gonna do it, but now we're spanning these lotteries out in the
Mhm.
contract piece. So how do we keep our clientele, I guess, engaged over this?
Yeah,
this
who are you, like, are you worried about like people like getting excited when we start announcing the lotteries, and then like when it comes time to conduct the lotteries, like they've dropped out or something? Or
Exactly. Like they get
Which-
qualified, they're ready, and say they're a 140 and they see us doing the 100s and they're like, cool, I'm ready to buy a place. And then we're running a lottery middle of February for their units. And they're like I lost my excitement around it just because of how our process is set. Like, we're going to do the deed restriction qualifications prior. I think that's also a benefit if we generate the lotteries later, that we can leave those application periods open longer to try and have a bigger pool. But I don't want someone to be like, cool, I got my qualification in August. This is my income 140. they're not doing a lottery until February and then kind of being like, I've changed my mind. I don't know if that's realistic or
do
not,
think-
but definitely,
I do think that like the August to February thing is a valid concern, but I mean, fortunately and unfortunately, it's not like they have something that's like a competing property that they can go for, you know, to back out from. And then, I mean, that's also why we're having them put down the qualification application fee, right? So they're invested in it. And I just think it goes back to like communicating and setting those expectations at the front. But it sounds like the piece of the puzzle that is movable to like to prevent this concern from happening is when we do the qualifications. Like, is August still the most appropriate time to do the qualification for those higher AMI units? Like, could we split the qualification period and do that like separate for the lower AMIs and the higher AMIs?
yeah,
Or does
I mean,
that put too much work on you?
I think we leave the qualification period, once we open it, I think we leave it open with an expectation that 2 weeks prior to us running the 100% AMI lottery, it's closing for those applicants.
Mhm.
That way we don't have someone the day before the lottery being like, well, I need you to qualify me right now. Well, you don't have all that, like, that's where we run into that. So set those deadlines. So then ultimately for the 140%, you're open from July till 2 weeks before. So end of January. I don't think we have to
But
close
is
it
there a
all.
reason that you have to have that? Yeah, do you have to have it open for so long for the AMIs and the units that are later on in the lottery process?
I don't think we have to, but I think we should, because I think we're gonna experience a lot of people that maybe have fallen just a little short. And that gives us time to have that one-on-one or that conversation with them, and they've got that longer period to potentially meet the restriction or correct their finances to be able to purchase at a different level, or it's just an educational piece.
Yeah, well, then I think you just answered, like, I think you just kind of answered your own question about like, it seems like the risk versus the reward of losing people is greater to have that application period open longer, because you have the opportunity to gain more buyers if you can coach them from the beginning and maybe get them up to where they need to be by that January. So I think that's the better alternative.
And I think the other thing is that when somebody starts the qualification process, they might think they know what AMI category they're in, but they may not. We may find out during that process that they're in a different one.
And same could be said for the prospective buyer form that we're kind of basing a lot of these things off of.
Yeah, and I think Araceli's brought this up a couple times, like that prospective buyer form. I would say as of now, a third of those people are assuming this is a rental. I think that's based on the AMIs, based on seeing them up like across our properties at different properties. I think it's just, again, it's we're in a housing crisis and something new is coming online. So I'm going to put my name on this list to get it, not fully understanding what it is. I just want an opportunity to actually have a house or a roof over my head. So.
Agreed.
Okay.
Are those baby coos?
Yeah, I know. I can't.
Baby,
I didn't know.
baby.
I didn't know if y'all could hear him in the background or not.
It's very cute. Okay, well, I'll try and restructure the 3 and the 2s. Space this, I'll add in the different lotteries. And kind of drag this out further.
But I think you're doing a really great job, like all of you, on like those like kind of like one-off situations, like we were just describing with like, well, if you don't get selected in the 2-bedroom and you want to enter the 3-bedroom, like those are the nuances that are really important to not miss. So great job on formulating a plan that factors all of those in.
All right. Any other comments on timelines? I think we're far enough away where we can pivot or refine as we get closer, based on delivery of the units. Okay, next agenda item.
Update on the partnership with the agency. I think we're kind of. I had a good conversation with Kim Williams. She's fine with us hanging our license with her. In terms of George working on an agreement, we've kind of pushed this agreement down. Development has some more pertinent documents that are needed in a timely manner, just for George's capacity and such, so. I don't know, Jason, if you have a timeline, or, because I know the Servitas stuff and.
Yeah, we're focusing George on the Servitas agreement right now, which it should be done this week, in my expectation. We should give him this
I've
week,
put
so
in
he
2
can-
calls to George. Michael Ann and I would like 15 minutes of his time.
Okay.
And if you would like to join us on the call, Michael Ann, you wanna just basically hit the high points of what we'd like to talk to him about?
Yes, I mean, basically, we just wanna like, I think that lawyers have their own language and real estate has its own language, and they both have their lanes, and hopefully they can always work together. But we just kind of want to, like, from the updates that we've been getting from Lala about some of the concerns that the Paoli group has, and I'm really happy to hear that we're moving forward sort of with like hiring the partnership as the like the brokers in this scenario, and I think that will create the cleanest like split of roles and responsibilities. But we just want to, like, from what Lala's told us, it sounds like Chris has some concerns about like how is his firm being represented publicly and like logistically from a real estate perspective in this deal. And we just want to make sure that George, like, we just want to hear it from George how he's kind of representing our interest in those conversations with Chris, just since there's different language that's oftentimes spoken. And so that's really it. Just wanted to hear it from George on that front.
Yep.
So,
Sorry, Kathy, go ahead.
I was gonna say, given the lottery timeline, we could, you know, if we have to wait a week, if he's finishing with Servitas, that's fine with me, but just know that we're just talking about a short and not a project, more clarification.
I think something that's coming to mind for me right now is like, we're kind of moving forward with all of our eggs in a basket that hasn't been sealed yet, meaning the agreement with the agency. Like, what happens if Chris gets a call tomorrow and says, hey, we want to work with the agency for this 200 unit luxury product that's going up in Stagecoach, and Chris decides he no longer has the capacity to do the original proposal. I don't think Chris is going to do that, but I just, like, you know, is that a valid concern? Like, what's y'all's read on that, like, being with because we don't have a signed deal with him right now.
We want to
And-
get it nailed down.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I honestly, I'm a little nervous about that too, because we selected him in November, didn't we?
Right. It was,
December. We had our first conversation right before the new year.
Okay,
So-
yeah. So it's been 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's plenty of time to get something hammered out with him.
yeah, but I think,
I mean, and do we have any clarity on if, like, the 1% has
Did he
cleared
ever
the
get the
corporate hurdle?
So George has been having the conversations with Chris, and according to George, again, this is the George pieces. Chris said that it's fine and it's the 1%. George also stated whatever document Chris signs on behalf of the partnership,
Will
if that
also
says
state
1%, that trumps then Chris basically has to backfill or do whatever he needs to do
right,
if he doesn't get
Mm.
that clarification.
Okay.
But according to George, Chris has basically said, no big deal. I told George we wanted it in writing. And then in our most recent conversations, I just haven't circled up because George is on some more pressing matters currently. And Chris knows that we're still in the works. We want to work with him. Like he doesn't think we're trying to shy away from him or pivot without him. I think he's
Right, but he still has, he's like, I don't think, I want to believe that Chris is not going to do this, and I have no reason to suspect that he would. But we just need to protect the process that we are setting in motion and the assumptions that we're making, being able to work with him. And that's great that George will have something that says it trumps, like the 1% is the agreement, and if he doesn't get his approval from corporate, then we can still, it's his guarantee, his personal guarantee. But like we need something that says he's not going to walk away from us tomorrow if something else falls from the sky.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we don't have a backup plan for that piece,
Correct.
And then I have you had any conversations? I think that my question that I'm about to ask is related to like the MLS questions that had come up in our last meeting. I think that touches the agreement with some of the specifics in the agreement with Chris. It touches the marketing strategies and like the kind of prospective buyer trends that are emerging, and our future goals as a real estate arm with the housing authority. Have you gotten any clarity on any of that?
I have not.
I think we need those answers before we finalize a deal with Chris.
Okay.
And I'm happy to support you in that phone call or that email with the board contact, Altitude Realtors contact that I gave you. But I don't want to not, like, I wouldn't want to go and I wouldn't want to give George the thumbs up that he's good to like authorize the logistics with Chris without knowing what our future, like what our strategy is with the MLS, and same with Kim.
Okay.
And Jason and Elliot, do you guys feel like you know what's going on with like that consideration?
No.
Kathy and Lala, please fill in like where I leave out important details. But basically we've heard from Chris that he wants to know how is his firm getting recognition in the MLS for their part in this deal. Technically, they are not a buyer's agent or a seller's agent in the deal. They're just transaction manager. And so are we giving them credit in the MLS for this is a yes or no question. Are we listing? So that's kind of where it relates to Chris. And if we were to give him credit, do we also need to make sure that we can give ourselves credit so that when we go for a managing broker's license in the future, I just don't know the answer if it's like, do you have to put them in the MLS when the units close and give yourself credit for it right then and there? Or can you do it, year or so from now? And then do we want to put the units in the MLS? Does it kind of complicate things right now with the way that we're doing this through the partnership, through the Mid-Valley partnership, and bringing on this transaction manager and using our staff to put them in the MLS? Is it helping us to get a broader reach? Is it hurting us to not? Does it take out some of the steps as it relates to like, one of the biggest benefits of the MLS is the automatic syndication out to the real estate websites. We would still be eligible to upload our listings into some of those, but if you put it in the MLS, it does it for you. So just kind of some of those questions about like, what's the best for marketing and for generating interest and reaching the broadest audience possible, and what's best for the future of like, the stats that we're trying to amass to become a real estate arm.
Is the MLS like if it's not listed on the MLS, is it not a bona fide real estate transaction in the eyes of the states?
That's the question.
That I believe that yes, Jason, I believe that if it's not put in the MLS is kind of like the Bible. like the repository for the transactions. I mean, actually it's the assessor site, the assessor's office does that, but I don't know how how do you prove to Dora that these real estate transactions took place and that a specific realtor was involved in whichever capacity
Yeah.
when you go
Yeah,
to prove that.
I'll have to get that, because I know like when I talked to Kim, they don't post any of theirs on the MLS. None of their
Okay.
deed restricted properties are posted. They're already a managing brokerage firm though. So I don't know how, like
How
you
did
said
they get
earlier.
that? If
Hmm?
they're- How'd
How'd
they
they
get
get
that?
their
if-
managing?
if they're
their
not in the
designation?
MLS?
Cause Kim was.
Kim was an actual free
Before.
market
Oh,
broker
so she
before.
brought that designation with her.
Correct.
Okay.
But it
We're on
feels-
So
the
it's
other,
like those type,
Yeah.
Those are the questions that we're trying to figure out.
But as an example.
and like they don't all like, I just want to make sure it's understood that like, it's not like your question, Jason, that's not the only thing that we're after, right? It's like, it's a mix of how they overlap with each other based on what we want to do with Chris, based on how we want to reach buyers, based on what we want to get credit for, and things like that. So it's like, they're individual, but interrelated.
It appears to be material for some type of data-driven metrics for Chris as well.
Yes.
yeah,
But-
it allows him to, I think, kind of like market and boost his like.
It shows his
sales
stats.
Like, this is the difference of Chris saying, I'm going to do 100 transactions this year or 200.
Yeah,
All right. So those are the things we want to make sure that George is looped in
Okay.
and. Okay,
And lastly, it also definitely, will have some impact on the budget because joining the board of realtors, there's costs associated with that.
all right. The next item is, we have been asked by Jason and the executive committee for each team to review its goals and report back and say, we met our goals last year. This is all in terms of accountability, or it's ongoing, we're working on. So. Let's see, Jason, you want to run us through this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea being that we wanted to, we want to have every team do a bit of a self-audit
Mhm.
and look at this and go, okay, we had 3 goals, several strategies and a 1-year work plan. Did we achieve our objectives? Did we stick to our plan? Were there areas where we fell short, areas where we overachieved? I think that's really the key here. And so I think it's just worth looking at this from the standpoint of like a year ago. We had said, this is kind of where we would like to go with this team and how are we doing?
Mhm.
and I mean, aren't we really only like halfway through the year of the work plan?
Well,
Cause
so,
this wasn't implemented till like August or September.
but that's how we had structured it. So we started this last June, last Q2. So this is 2024.
Okay.
2024. In 2024.
This did not go out with the packet, I don't think, did it?
Because it's for the March board meeting
Okay,
between now and March for each
so it's
team to
hard to
go
have
through
a
it.
conversation,
Yeah.
since this is a document we haven't seen.
Correct. I think that the whole point is
Just tell
there's
us,
some homework
yes,
to be
Yep.
done.
Okay.
To look at this and go, shoot, we're crushing it. I think we're doing well. And then the next step from there would be to create,
a review.
well, we would provide a review and then update the 1-year work plan. Because I don't foresee the goals changing too much. However, the work plan is far more well understood today than it was 6 months ago.
Mhm.
And the timeline related to that work plan.
It's changed.
Mhm.
And so, that's essentially the homework. Is that in anticipation of our March board meeting, we will be doing our self audits of this so that we can report back to the executive team. And then ultimately, the executive team can update the board and say, A+ to Kathy and Michael Ann on the real estate team, you know. B+ to Lou on the development team, you know.
Finance is doing great.
Yeah, A+ to Cole on finance, you know, whatever,
Policy.
yeah,
property management.
C+ for policy, I don't know, you know, making stuff up at this point, but the idea being that, you know, we set these goals, we should be reviewing them.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, so this is like, just like it's broken up in quarters, this should be like a quarterly review by each work team. Basically, see how you did with your goal or with your work plan and.
I don't know, we wanna do it quarterly, that
I mean, I think
that
Well,
might be
six,
too much.
Well, I was just thinking like, we'll see how you did the last quarter
Yeah.
and then maybe touch base on what's coming up the following quarter. So you're kind of like reviewing, but looking ahead. And
the
just-
idea is
So
that,
it's forefront of the mind.
yeah, you
thing.
wouldn't want this to be like a 3-hour discussion.
No,
It
no,
would be a 15-minute check-in, like,
Right.
hey, guys, here's where we're at.
It's a
Here's-
good way, yeah, to set the agendas
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
for the
like,
future months.
this team, I would say better than most, has a very clear path. Of like what they're doing in the coming 6 months.
Mhm.
I would say that there's
Mhm.
less specificity in some other teams as to what their work plan is over the course of the next 6 months. And so this is a kind of strengthening that muscle of checking on what we were intending to accomplish, making sure we actually did that.
Yep.
And then, you know, looking forward and saying, all right, here's our goals for the next, you know, 3 months of meetings. And here's our work plan. Let's make sure we're executing on that.
I would say that I think that, like, to Jason's point about like our goals as a real estate team are well, like they're better defined in terms of like, did you achieve it or not? That's like a blessing and a curse, right? Because it's like our success is going to be very obvious or not. And so I would argue maybe that like, because I will admit, like, I mean, we worked on these for a number of meetings and then, I mean, we knew what we were doing, but I kind of like forgot that they existed. So we should either like, could we just make this an attachment to our agenda for each meeting, just like so that they don't get lost? Because I mean, um, just want as a suggestion to like continuously check in so that we don't get caught off guard if like there was something that we just forgot to work on, which I know none of us would allow to happen, but.
I mean, now that you're back, that absolutely won't happen.
Ah, I had a side note. I had to attend a city resort meeting on Monday because it was the only date they could find before Blues break. And someone in that meeting, we were like allocating tasks, and someone said, "Well, oh, Michael should do it because she's well rested because she's been on maternity leave." And I was like, and the whole room it was an awkward situation. But I only say that because I cannot be trusted to remember much these days.
Wait, that wasn't said in jest, it was said legitimately?
Well, the person was like, "Oh, Michael can do it. She's well rested." And then like it was a man that said it, and he did say it legitimately, and then realized what he said and had to backtrack.
Way to go, Pacino.
It was not Pacino, but that is funny.
That's a very Pacino statement.
It's giving birth as being well rested.
Sure.
But yeah, so I think this is a good exercise, that we should check in with. And Jason and Elliot, what is the process for like, if like one of our goals became, like something changed and, it was no longer a strategy or a goal any longer? Like what would be what would be the appropriate process, like mid-year? We're like, oh, we don't actually need to set up a real estate arm anymore. Like, how would we go about changing that if need be?
I think that the process would be, that we would probably need to have a bit of a strategic conversation at the board level about a change in direction for a particular team.
Well, I mean, wouldn't that start on the work team level?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Identify that and then it would be brought and maybe just a discussion around that and just a pivot or. let them
Yeah.
know, like what we're changing.
Yeah, and I would say like we have strategic topics that populate our board discussion, and real estate's been the primary one for quite a while. So, but like, if you think of let's just say property management, which hasn't been top of mind for the board for quite a while, was making a dramatic turn or wanted to make a dramatic turn, that would be a strategic topic that we would probably present to them, adjust our goals and strategies as a result of that conversation, or not, right? The board might say like, what, are you crazy? Like,
Mhm.
But this check-in in March should prompt some concerns. If there was areas on different work teams that there was a goal shift.
Yeah.
I'm not so concerned about strategies. You can add and subtract, but goals particularly.
yeah, goals are the ones that are really sort of like solidified by the board. The strategies are flexible at the work team level.
So,
That was
All
more
right.
of a curiosity than a, hey, I have a proposal.
yeah. All right, so everybody will get this and we have a meeting in 2 weeks prior to the March board.
Yeah, that's the next, so the last thing on the agenda is any other business, and then
Yeah.
to set the next meeting.
So we'll have an opportunity to discuss this at our next meeting. Okay, other business.
Just a quick update. I've got the RFP for HOA management services going out tomorrow. So, thanks to everyone who provided comments and feedback on that. I've incorporated that into the RFP. And, yeah, we'll be sending that out tomorrow.
Okay. And how much time to respond?
We had, I want to say 6 weeks.
Ooh. Okay,
Second. Yeah, submittals back by Monday, March 31st.
no way. Okay, Yeah.
And then,
The end of
and then basically 2 weeks to review the proposals with, interviews conducted the week of April 14th. And then the winning proposal to be announced by May of 2025. And then, I gave 2 months for contract negotiations. So essentially trying to get that, whoever that is on the team by July of 2025
okay,
to start helping us define our budget, work through
Cause the lenders are gonna wanna know that
Mhm.
in terms as soon as possible.
We should also put on the agenda about the Fannie Mae approval. Because from our meeting from Alpine, it seems like Alpine can do the Fannie Mae approval. So I don't know if we're still going through Raylan, which is a third-party
It
company.
should be done by now.
Did we ever engage her?
Well, I mean, we engaged her, but we never signed anything that we were gonna like work with her. But she's still under the impression that we're working with her, but with our meeting with Alpine, they said that they can do the approval, so.
But
Does
they're
Alpine,
looking at-
does Alpine's approval, like span the transaction?
I don't know, that's something that they just mentioned and we were talking about other things, but I think it.
Like, do
would be
they,
about-
like Raylan would need to work with a, like, there needs to be a lender that kind of like sponsors the application. But, and so that's awesome that if Alpine's willing to be that, but I just want to make sure that like it's the approval is like any lender that
Specific
lends
to
on the
Alpine.
project.
I mean, we can talk more about it, but that's why I'm bringing it up, like things might have changed, so I think we need to talk about where we're going
All
with
right,
that.
we'll put it on the next agenda. Okay.
And that will, like, we can't submit that application until we have the association documents, like in some, I don't know, draft, it maybe a little bit further along than draft, so that might work out really nicely with the property or with the RFP.
And let's talk about who gets to choose. Now, I don't expect a big response just because there aren't that many people locally that do it.
Yeah,
Um,
I think honestly, our best bet is, gonna be Resort Group or Steamboat Association Management. The lady, Genevieve, who I've spoken with over there. She says they're all about growing that side of the business. They're very interested in this project. They're very interested in submitting a proposal. I think the other companies that I'm sending this out to are kind of like a little below that level. So in all kind of like disclosure, I think like if we get one or two submittals on this, I would be happy.
Yeah.
And I think Resort Group's gonna be the top one, so.
so I guess my question is the decision the real estate team and the property management team?
It's the partnership.
The partnership ultimately would, but they would
Okay,
take.
but-
our
We would make a
I was
recommendation. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I don't think they're gonna care.
no, just
Not
what
as
they're
much as
gonna
we
care is the number.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that's really gonna be the rub on this is like what they propose for like.
and
a
what's
management.
included and what's not.
Mhm,
Okay,
yeah,
all right. So next agenda, Fannie Mae approval and HOA. Update,
And MLS questions update.
MLS. Yep, and I'm sure we'll add other things. Okay.
And maybe some marketing social media posts.
Yep.
Please.
and I guess whatever comes out of the board meeting today.
Yep.
Do we have that meeting set, or is that what we needed to do, Alyssa?
That's what we needed to do. This one we put was earlier than our normal ones just because of the board meeting. So if we want to keep Thursday, I guess, Michael, you're back to work next week, I believe.
Yeah.
Do, you-
And Thursdays are usually bad for you, if I remember.
Yes.
And
Thursdays are
Friday,
bad. Cause I have a standing meeting and then we have like the Thursday, like the Housing Authority Board meeting. Things like that.
once a month, yeah.
Kathy,
and
how much longer are you working on Fridays?
Until the mountain closes,
Okay.
April 20th.
What time do you work on Fridays? Are you
All
first
day.
thing?
All
Yeah,
day.
okay.
10 hours.
Tuesdays, I think are generally, especially Tuesday afternoons, I think are typically okay for me.
I work Tuesday, Friday. Those are my two work, and then the weekends.
Okay, so then Wednesday
Wednesday's good.
would be the next best thing.
Wednesday morning,
Wednesday
'cause we
morning,
got property management in 2 weeks at least,
okay,
from 11 to 2 Cottonwoods calls from 2, like, kind of all afternoons. It'd be like at 9 AM.
yeah, we could do 9 AM on a Wednesday.
Or Monday afternoons are, I think, generally good for.
What works for you,
Wednesdays, we have partnership meetings with,
but not till later, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
10 o'clock.
it'd
So if
be
we
a
did
9
9
AM.
o'clock,
I would say, like, I mean, I can always put it on my calendar, but like morning meetings are more likely for me, like work wise, than the afternoon. But if the afternoon's just not available, then I can just do my best.
after the partnership agreement or meeting.
I mean, because if we only have, the rest of this month's
They've
meetings
been
and then
running till
March and
4:30.
April, then we can switch back to Fridays come April.
Yes,
Is that correct?
Yep,
Okay. Well then, yeah, I'll probably just have to like kind of do it on a meeting by meeting basis. I'll obviously try to prioritize this, but we'll have to, that's just my situation right now.
so what did we land on for the next meeting?
I'd say.
Wednesday at 9?
Wednesday, is that the 26th?
6.
Oh, that's, okay, that would work for me. I've got to be in Denver, but I can make the 9 meeting. And then drive.
Yeah, and then from a property management standpoint, we were meeting, the team is meeting at 11 to walk the reserve.
That's what I was saying. We'd have to do the 9 to
Yeah.
9 to 11 and then
Yeah.
jet across town.
Yeah,
Which, yeah, Wednesday's just a busy day, but that's fine.
All right, Wednesday, the 26th
yes.
at 9. We'll try to keep it an hour.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And I
Okay.
may have to be remote, but
All right. Well, it's not all right, but
We miss you.
yes,
I know, I will do my best to be back in person, but I just have a feeling the next couple weeks are gonna be brutal.
Understood.
yeah, there's a giant pile of paper on your desk. Oh, wait, we don't use paper anymore.
It's
All
almost
right.
scarier that it's emails, Kathy.
All right. Okay,
Bye.
all right, we're good to go. We'll see everybody at 1, at 12.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.